Square just smashed earnings, and you can take a look at the charts after hours. It's been crazy. So let's talk about this in this video. What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Daniel Stock Bites. Here on this channel, we do quick 2 to 5 minute videos on high growth tech stocks. And today, as I mentioned, we're talking about Square. I did a video about 6 days ago on why I'm buying Square. Unfortunately, Square stock has not stayed down or come down to lower levels where I was hoping to purchase. So in the end, I didn't end up buying any Square stock. However, I do have a sizable position in my current portfolio, so not all is lost. But today, let's talk about why Square is popping after hours. So we can see that Square's earnings, revenue topped expectations on Cash App growth, and the stock jumps. Scrolling further into this article, we can see that the gross profits increased by 59% to close to $800 million. However, the net revenue is what was crazy. It had jumped by 140% to $3.03 billion. And this is mainly due to Cash App users buying Bitcoin, which we'll talk about later on in this video. Originally, analysts had projected 16 cents of profit on a net revenue of $2.07 billion. So Square smashed analyst estimates by about 50%. If we take a look at Finbox to see Square's historical performance, we can see that never really have they seen any sort of triple-digit revenue growth. The previous quarter was pretty impressive at 63.8%, while the rest are kind of at 40% year over year. So 140%, which Square pulled out while the whole world is in a pandemic, as well as there's a lot of fears about the election and all that stuff going on right now. This is unheard of, which is why Square stock soared to a price of around $190 after hours. However, $190, they've touched this level before. They touched it actually at the beginning of October, and shortly after that, they did keep falling down. So tomorrow when the market opens, I think that Square will probably shoot up to close to $200. That's just my wild guess right now based on what we saw from the quarter. For those of you guys who are lazy investors, I took the liberty of quickly skimming through the shareholder letter. And yes, I'm a little bit lazy as well, so I didn't read the whole thing in depth. But there's one thing that I want to point out here in the shareholder letter that you guys should know. So we can see here for the Cash App ecosystem revenue and gross profit. At the bottom, Cash App generated $1.63 billion of Bitcoin revenue. So that's not $1.63 billion of Bitcoin traded. That's the total revenue from all the Bitcoin transactions. They only squeaked out $32 million of Bitcoin gross profit though, meaning that most of the Bitcoin revenue actually was a cost to the company. However, this revenue of $1.63 billion is more than half of the revenue that Square generated. And last time when we talked about Square, I mentioned that Square bought $50 million worth of Bitcoin. And the purpose of buying that Bitcoin is so that they could facilitate customers access to Bitcoin. And if we take a look at the chart of Bitcoin, we can see that's going up and away. At the beginning of this year, it was down at around $5,000 per Bitcoin, and I think that was right around March where everything just crashed, and it's tripled from then up to about $15,000 today. And if we look at the 5-year chart, we can see that Bitcoin maxed out at around $20,000 per Bitcoin. So if we continue to go up with Bitcoin, we may see it surpass its previous all-time highs. And every time Bitcoin reaches new all-time highs, it typically moves up by crazy amounts. Like I think the previous all-time high to this 20,000 was actually about $1,000 per Bitcoin. Don't quote me on that, but you should go look up a chart yourself. And the next all-time high was 20,000, so it basically 20x'd its previous price. So I think if Bitcoin breaks out, some analysts are predicting it could be anywhere from $100,000 to $400,000 per Bitcoin. Another thing I love about Cash App is that they allow people to invest. And you could say that there's Robinhood and M1 Finance that allow people to invest. But if you can invest right on the platform where you bank, you have the advantage of being able to deposit money instantly into your stock market account, catch any dips in the stock price that may not be around for the next 2 to 3 days as you're waiting for your funds to transfer if you're with Robinhood or M1 Finance. And you can also get that cash from your stock brokerage account back into your Cash App account and use that money to pay off bills if you're that kind of person who uses funds from your stocks to pay off your bills. So personally, I think that we may see larger adoption of stock market investing on Square's Cash App because it just makes it a lot easier to move money around between your stock brokerage account as well as your bank account within Cash App. Going forward, I think that Cash App will continue to be a strong performer for Square. However, there is one risk with Square that I can see right now is that if Bitcoin doesn't really perform as well in terms of the Bitcoin price to USD, and this may see a lot of decreased interest in Bitcoin buying and selling on Cash App, and therefore the revenue numbers going forward could be at risk. $1.63 billion was a crazy beat, but can they pull it off again next quarter and the quarter after that and the quarter after that? Who knows? So if you're investing in Square, just keep that in mind as well when you're buying in. And what I think is best to focus on is their actual Cash App, how people use it as a bank account to buy and sell stocks, as well as to just pay bills and stuff. And on top of that, the whole seller ecosystem is another core of the business. So looking for growth in those businesses are what we should be looking for as investors right now. Anyways, if you guys want to read through this Square shareholder letter, I will link that in the description down below. But other than that, that's all I have for today. Leave a like down below, hit the subscribe and the notification bell, and I'll see you guys in my next one.